Hello and welcome to 50 Fabulous Knits. My name is Pia. I am a Danish knitter coming to you from the Como region in Italy, where I live with my husband Peter and my little dog Feely. This week's episode is probably going to be a full episode. I have a lot of knitting to share. It's been 3 weeks since I last recorded in English, but also it's been a period with a lot of rain here in Italy. Especially the last, 4 or 5 days, it's been raining nonstop. And as we all know, if it's raining outside, it's knitting inside. So yeah, I hope you're sitting comfortably, and I will try to go through the things rather quickly. First of all, I'm going to talk about what I'm wearing, because that is a brand new thing that I cast on, knitted and finished in the weeks since I last recorded in English. It is my Oleander top. The pattern here on the yoke is inspired by the oleander hedge that we have surrounding our pool deck down here. These pointy leaves, and yeah, I wanted to see if I could do something inspired by that in my knitting. So it's a very simple top, knitted top down with some ribbing along all the edges. And it's knit in reversed stockinette, a round yoke, and then we have this lace pattern, lace motif on the yoke. I knitted in drop spell, which is this yarn. It's a mix between cotton and viscose and linen, and maybe I can even see. Yeah, it's 53% cotton, 33% viscose, and 14% linen. So it's a really nice summer yarn. I think it makes for a nicer fabric than if I were to knit this in 100% cotton. It's a little softer than a cotton yarn. A cotton yarn can get rather stiff and hard when you wash it. This does the same a little bit, but not nearly as much. I think the viscose actually softens it up. And also it gives you a fabric that is drapey and a little heavy, but not as heavy as 100% cotton would be. So this is definitely my favorite yarn for summer knits, or for anything not knit in wool. I do prefer to knit wool. I will wear wool if there is any way that I can do it without melting away in the heat. But this is an okay substitute. The problem with knitting in these plant fibers is that there's not a lot of elasticity in the yarn, which means that it's difficult to get your stitches to even out nicely. It's not as forgiving as a woolen yarn would be. And also, and I have seen this in all the cotton linen blends that I know, the yarn is kind of splitty. You can see when you work with it, it does tend to split. So you have to use not your sharpest needle. This is not when you want to web out your higher sharps. You want a somewhat blunter needle, and then you need to pay attention that you get the full strand of yarn. But yeah, that being said, I'm loving my Oleander top. It's very, very nice to wear here in the heat. I am gonna knit it up in wool as well. I actually wanted to cast it on this morning, but then I decided, I'm gonna record instead and I can cast it on later because as you will see throughout the episode, I have knitting. I'm okay. I have knitting. No worries. But I have actually been finishing all the things. I finally finished my bright sweater. Just look how glorious it is. I would put it on for you if it wasn't so warm in here. I am recording inside today in my craft room / office because we're having some work done outside in the yard. There's some electricians and stuff. So I thought, nah, I'm gonna move inside and it's hot. I'm trying to do without the fan because it does make noise. So, yeah, I'm not gonna put this one on, but I have, of course, tried it on. It has an amazing fit. All the more amazing when you think that this is actually a one-size pattern. This is not a sized pattern. You have one size. You can theoretically size up and down with your gauge, but I didn't do that. I just went ahead and knit it and it's perfect. It is the Bright Sweater by Junko Okamoto. And I knit it in my own hand-dyed yarn. It's a DK weight superwash merino, and the colorway is called Reisekameraden, the traveling companion. I do not have any hand-dyed yarn for sale right now because I'm working on one, getting the yarn from the mill so that I can actually dye it up, and also fixing my web shop so that I will be able to sell internationally. As soon as those two obstacles are out of the way, it's going to be there again. And of course, I'm going to dye up Reisekameraden again because I really love this ivory color with all the little flecks of some pinks and yellow and browns, and yeah. The pattern is not a beginner pattern. It's not difficult, but it does require some patience and maybe also some confidence that, yeah, I can make this. I can, because I think that basically everyone can make it, but I wouldn't recommend it for a beginner. And a curious, almost beginner could probably make it. It has this wonderful yoke with these structured stitches. You have some little clusters up here and then some cables, some more clusters and some ribbing. And then what appears to be a body in purist stuck in it. Usually this is where you would then just zoom round, completely mindless knitting. Not the case here. You still have your stitch markers, you're still counting because there's some decreases happening along the sides, which actually adds to the fit. So I wouldn't skip that. I do know that some people just skip that and just knit it straight down. I really recommend following the pattern because the fit is amazing. And the sleeves are just glorious. All the way down the sleeves you have this panel of a mock cable and these clustered stitches, and it's so pretty, and it's actually quite funny to knit this. I think it's, for me, it was a little like knitting stripes. Oh, just one more repeat. I need to start the next repeat. I need to finish the next repeat. So yeah, I had a lot of fun doing that. I will say though that you wanna knit it on circular needles, I guess, unless you're very good with double pointed needles. I'd probably get lost with 5 needles and this stitch pattern. I cast the sweater on pre-pandemic. I cast it on in January of 2020 before going to Texas to visit my son and his family. That's why I named the colorway Reisekameraden, the traveling companion. My idea was that I'd finish this sweater in the 2 to 3 weeks that I was there. Of course I didn't. I mean, I think maybe did I do the cabling, something like that. And then when I came home, I worked on it a little and I reached the ripping here. And for some reason, I just put it aside. And it has been marinating in my whip pile ever since. But then I saw that Jackie from the Caddy Jacks Knit podcast knit one, and I was like, I want that. I want mine to be finished. So I picked it up and I finished it. I was originally inspired to knit it by Mary Lisa from the Girl Meets Yarn podcast, and I will link in my show notes to the episode where she talks about her finished bright sweater, because she does it so much more colorful and funny than I could ever do. But I agree with almost everything she says about it. It's a labor of love, but yeah, the finished product is totally worth it. So that was 2 sweaters that I finished, but that's not all. I also finished the little hat for Lucas, for my coming grandson in Texas. This is a free pattern on my own website and on Ravelry also, available in Danish and in English. And it's a super simple hat with a funny construction. You just knit a long tube in stockinette, you do some quick decreases for the crown, and then you fold the brim in a very special way so that you on the inside have actually quite a bit of stockinette before it turns into reversed stockinette. And you have 3 layers of material here covering the ears. I love this hat. I have knit it, I don't know how many times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think this is my 6th. I'm gonna make more because I really love the hats. They're so cute and they're so fun to knit. It's so easy just to knit a tube. This one is knit in Drops Baby Merino and Drops Kit Silk. And the Drops Baby Merino, let me see, I actually think I have some of it here. It's a sport weight, fingering weight merino. It has, let me just see, 175 meters per 50 grams. And it is just a very simple superwash merino. I will say that this merino really grows with blocking. Obviously not so much with a hat, but if you knit a sweater out of this, which I have done, you want to be really careful when blocking it. All superwash yarns have a tendency to grow, but this one is really eager to grow. Just consider yourself warned. It's a beautiful yarn. It's so easy to work with, and it holds up quite nicely, but you need to be aware that it will grow given half the chance. I held it together with the Drops Kit Silk, obviously not in this color, but this is the ball that I have here. And that is a traditional mohair silk blend. This one has a bad name for shedding a lot. I don't have that problem with it. Of course, I mean, it's mohair. If you want it to shed, it will shed. But I think I have my dirty black this one for a needle case, and you can see you can rub it against and it's fine. I have been knitting with this yarn wearing black jeans, no problem. The finished sweaters that I have with this, I can wear them under a black blazer, no problem. The one thing there is, it's not as soft as some of the silk mohair blends that are out there. It's a little more prickly. It doesn't bother me, but if you're really sensitive, then maybe this is not the mohair silk that you want to use. But I've used it for many hats, holding it together with the merino, and it's not at all prickly against your forehead when it's combined. I made one for myself, holding 2 strands of the kit silk together, and that tends to get a little prickly on my forehead when I'm sweating, but other than that, no problem. After finishing those 3 projects, all I had left on my needles, like actively knitting on, was my half and half wrap. So I actually spent close to a week just knitting on that. It was perfect knitting because we had a lot of guests here. See how far I got? We had a lot of guests, and when people are traveling all the way from Denmark to come and visit, I actually want to be able to focus on them, not focus on my knitting. The half and half wrap is perfect for that. So that was more or less the only thing that I worked on for quite some days, and I made it pretty far. As you can see, I decided to try to put in just a little bit of the baby blue in the middle of one of the white stripes. I don't know. I like it, but I'm not 100% sure. I may rip it out. Time will tell. But yeah, this project is perfect for when you're together with other people. You want to be able to have a conversation and actually focus on that, but still keep your hands busy. Perfect project. It's a project that really, for me, it has a calming and soothing effect. It tends to slow me down a little. It quiets the little voice in my head going, I want this, I want that. Oh, shiny new object. It's just, it calms me down. I love this project. It is, however, not the perfect project for me if I'm knitting monogamously. It's not very portable, right? It's kind of warm to sit with. I mean, your lap is just full of wool. So yeah, when this was the only thing left on my needles, I had to decide, should I knit monogamously on this and finish it already? Or should I pick up an old web, because I do have some in my closet? Or should I cast on all the new and shiny? Yeah, I'm sure it doesn't come as any surprise at all. So let's move right along in my whip pile. The first thing that I cast on was for Lucas, because now I finished his hat, I needed something else for him. I didn't get very far, but I cast on for a baby vest. I'm just gonna put a photo here so you can see it. It's called the Tree of Life, and I only have the pattern written up in Danish, but I do know that people have knit from my Danish patterns just using Google Translate, and you're always welcome to ask me if there is something that is unclear. like the cancer masks that way, yeah. But yeah, it's gonna be super cute. It's just this little baby vest with some 2x2 ribbing in the sides and then a simple lace pattern running down the front. So that's one of those things that's just, this is portable. This is easy to knit on when it's warm out. And I'm definitely going to finish it because I know that he is going to use it. His older brother used the little vests all the time. The next thing that I cast on, because this was white. This was a pattern that I already knit once. So I needed something else. And I had in my stash this beautiful skein. Just look at it. Oh my God, it's so pretty. It is so, so, so pretty. It was a skein that I bought from Stress Knits Stacy when I was in the States. I ordered a couple of skeins from her. This is on her favorite sock base, and the colorway is Figgy, and it's just so pretty. So I wanted to make something with it. It actually started out with me just gently caressing the yarn, and I decided I need to make something with this. So what I am going to make is not a shawl. For once, not a shawl. More a scarf. Well, it's a shawl, but it's not like a massive shawl that the ones I usually make. It's gonna be more of a scarf that I can just use with my t-shirts, my big white shirts, and just some little simple pop of color and a little bit of warmth around my neck. Just look how this color is knitting up. Stacy is a genius with her colors. So I am knitting it in sections of stockinette and then sections of this spider pattern. Isn't it fun? Can you see it here? Let me try to hold it all the way up. It does look like little spiders in a web, I think. I really love this pattern. I loved it so much that I decided that I needed to use it for a cardigan. When I was a little girl, my grandmother used to have bed jackets, like the little cardigans that she would use when she was sitting in her bed reading before bedtime. And they were always made out of this fluffy, soft angora and knit in some intricate lace patterns. It was actually almost just a pair of sleeves and just a little bit of coverage on her back. And I've been wanting to make one of those for a long time. And now I'm trying. I'm calling it my Sunbed jacket because it's not a bed jacket. That's not how I'm going to use it in it. Wow, look at this! Yay, my knitting! I knit the sleeves and the back first. I finished before. I knit one sleeve in the back, and then I thought, the other sleeve can wait because I wanted to try to knit the pattern, the spider pattern. So I'm knitting the spider pattern just like on the little scarf in another color, as you can see. So what will happen is that I will have, this is the neck, and then I have my sleeves. I'm not going to make a pattern for this because this construction, old as it is, since, I mean, my grandmother wore it, it is very, very close to the construction of the Reagan cardigan that Isabel Kramer published. So I don't want to put out a pattern for this. I know that it's another stitch gauge and it's another way of working it and it's another lace pattern, but still, I don't want to do that. If you want something similar, you can always use the pattern for the Reagan cardigan and then add in your own lace and make it to fit your own stitch gauge. And before I talk more about that, I'm just going to mention the yarns that I'm using because these are lovely yarns. For the sleeves, I am using It's for Socks by the Danish dyer. It's yarn. And it is the colorway Forsigtig. So I'm holding it together with the silk mohair, the drop skid silk that I showed before. And it's just knitting up beautifully, and it's really, it makes me think of my grandmother's wonderful bed jackets in all its fluffiness. I only have one skein of that, but I decided that the lace portion could easily be knit in another color. So for the lace portion, I am using long dog yarn. This is something that I picked up when I was at the McKinney Knittery. It's the bound sock base and the colorway is First Blush. And I can just show you the cake of that. It is this beautiful, beautiful soft pink with some pops of neon yellow, neon green, neon pink, and it's knitting up so beautifully. I really love these two yarns together. They go together very, very well, I think. And this spider pattern, it's just so pretty. I can't wait. What I wanted to say about not writing the pattern, because I think that it in its construction comes too close to one of Isabel Kramer's patterns. That is actually kind of a big thing. The company that produces the drop yarn, they're called Garn Studio. They're known for again and again copying, stealing people's creative property. A pattern will come out by an independent designer. They will make their version of that pattern and offer it up on their website. And it's not illegal. You actually don't need to change a lot in a pattern to be able to call it your own. I could easily get away with calling my Sunbed jacket my own pattern. But just because it's legal doesn't mean that it's the right thing to do. In my opinion, it's unethical to take other people's creativity, their ideas, and then sell them as your own. So that's the problem that many people have with the drops yarn, that the company behind them, Garn Studio, they're unethical. Just to put it bluntly, they're unethical in the way that they produce their patterns. I'm not sure that the independent designers, I don't think they suffer from it per se. I don't think that anyone who really wants this product will be happy with this one. They're just too different, but they're also too similar to make it okay to publish the pattern from Garn Studio. But that's my opinion, and again, it's not illegal. In my opinion, it's not the right thing to do. But you can also turn it around. What if I had never seen Isabel Kramer's Reagan cardigan? Or what if I hadn't knit it? Because you can't see how it's constructed when you just see a photo. I could have thought that this way of constructing a cardigan was just the way my grandmother did it, and I could have published it. So how much are you supposed to know as a designer? There's a big debate going on these days in the Danish knitting communities, where one designer has published a pattern that is very close to a pattern that was released some years ago. And I think it's really difficult because probably it comes down to the intention, but who can judge the intention behind something? Anyway, just my thoughts and the reason why the Sunbed jacket will not be published as a pattern. So I just needed to turn on the fan. I hope it's not too loud. I'll try to speak up so that you can still hear me. And then someone wanted to pop in and say hello, or pop up, because she's been sleeping at my feet during the whole time. But yeah, this is Philly, and she just wanted to come in and say hello. Yeah, still a little sleepy, right? Good job. Yeah, I didn't mention in the beginning of the podcast that we've had some days with a lot of rain. I mean, it was raining cats and dogs. We had around 4 inches of rain just being thrown at us. We were fortunate enough to be just on the edge of the big rains that has caused all the tragedy in various places in Europe. We got our share for sure, but we suffered no harm. There was some material damaged. Our car, Peter's brand new car, got damaged in one of the hailstorms. But you know what? We're happy to even have a car, so it's fine. My heart really goes out to the people who suffered much worse with those rains. On day 4 of raining, where we could see this is going to go on for quite a while, we decided to look for better weather, and our weather apps told us that just a couple of 100 kilometers south of us, the weather would be beautiful. So we have booked some hotels for just a little trip for the 3 of us. Of course, Fili is going with us. We're going to go to Siena, to Lucca, Firenze, and then out to the ocean for a couple of days. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. We're going to leave Saturday and be gone for a week. And I'm definitely going to seek out some yarn shops when I'm in these cities. I know that in Siena and Firenze, they do have some yarn shops that I definitely need to pay a visit to. Other than the rains, we have had a lot of guests, a lot of family members traveling all the way from Denmark to come visit us down here, and that has been absolutely wonderful. I think actually my joy of having all these people come was also what made me finish the projects that I was knitting on, because I couldn't make my brain go into the creative gear where I start something new. I just wanted to keep my hands busy and sit and enjoy my loved ones. So that has been really, really nice. Uh, Now all we have to do is finish the last paperwork for the move here, which is probably going to take a while. The Italians love their paper, and the Danes love their digitalized versions, and those two, but it'll happen. Of course it will. People are extremely helpful down here, so of course it will happen. But the next week, nothing much is going to happen. We're going on an adventure, and that is what we're going to focus on. I'm going to bring some knitting. I'm going to bring my camera. I will try to vlog a little as I go about this Tuscany trip, but I don't know when I will be recording a podcast again. It'll probably not be until Sunday, Monday, something like that next week. We will see if I can stay away from you guys for so long, or if I end up recording a podcast on the road, because I really enjoy this space. This is my happy place. The podcast, the 50 Fabulous family. I love it. I love that you want to spend time with me chatting about knitting. I'm so happy that you stopped by today, and I do hope that I will see you again next time.